Mohit Gang, thank you for joining us here on News 9. Always a pleasure speaking to you. And we are of course at record high, but from a technical perspective, there seems to be some signs of exhaustion that are setting in. And of course, most of the big macro events are behind us, and the markets are also lacking some triggers to take it higher from here on. So, at a time like this, since you are a investment advisor, registered investment advisor, what should be the strategy for the investors for the next few weeks?
Hi, Suyash. Always a pleasure. Honestly, yes, I think you're right in the sense that there are no big positive or negative triggers right now in the market. US market was closed yesterday, and we will see a reaction today for the hot inflation print which has come out, right? And the yields have already reacted in the US market. If you see the 10-year US yields, they've shot up to almost 4.3 levels. So my sense is, I think the inflation story is again playing out in the US. Having said which, Indian markets honestly are showing strong amount of resilience. I think the last correction which we had, which was a very minor one, albeit the markets have really bounced back fairly strongly from those levels. So we could be sideways for some time, to be honest, till we find the next trigger. But I think the momentum firmly remains intact, and I think the trade is in favor of long side, to be very honest. So my submission out here to all the investors is just stay put and stay invested. It's not the time to encash or take profits off the table unless you are a trader. For investors, long-term investors, I think this is time to be holding and staying put.
All right, Mohit, as we speak, Vibhor steel tubes that has listed as a massive 181% premium. The price has almost doubled from the final issue price of 151. It listed at 425 rupees a share, and much beyond expectations as well. The market was expecting this price to double over the issue price, but 181% listing premium, Mohit. What do the lucky few investors or who got allotted the share should they do? Should they hold on to the stock? Because I mean triple the price of what you were allotted the shares at. What should be the strategy now?
Oh yes, this would be an extreme case of great luck, to be very honest. I think the issue size was very small, 72 crores if I'm not wrong. Extremely small issue size, and to list at that premium, it's in stellar debut on the street. The company fundamentals look fairly strong, honestly, and though this kind of a listing wasn't warranted, to be very fair and very honest. Having said which, because the issue is very small, the liquidity and the float will be fairly small. I think this kind of a price action can persist for some time. But my submission to investors would be, if you are already getting some listed gains, listing gains, perhaps you might just hold on for a week or a month or so, and then try and take out whatever profits you can from the table. And you might just get an opportunity later also to get into this one. Yeah, but the great business, only risk I think out here is that the business completely thrives on one sole subscriber. I think Jindal Steel is their contributor, which contributes almost 90% of their
Thank you all for joining
business
us.
revenues. So which is something tricky, but otherwise I think the business has seen healthy growth, healthy numbers all through, and it's a great industry to be in.
All right, and just earlier we were talking about how the focus now, at least for the next couple of weeks, will be on the mother markets, the US markets, and over there, I mean, the rally really, if you look at it, has been driven by the large heavyweight tech stocks, and especially the theme that seems to have emerged over the last I would say 6-12 months would be AI. I mean, I'll come to you in just a bit, but Amit, how is India in positioned on this AI initiative front?
Compared to the US, as you mentioned, we are far behind, because those people, then the big giants, are delving into large language models. In India, the stocks that we'll be talking about, most of them, be it Reliance or Tata's, are the only ones who are now investing into large language models. But the other ones are into basically working on those models. The news with India is that India saw its first AI unicorn last month in Krutrim, which raised $500 million at a valuation of $1 billion. We look at some AI stocks here, and while most of the companies that listed here, the big giants, Tata, TCS, Infosys, Wipros, AI is one part of their portfolio. My eye was caught by two companies, Kelton Tech Solutions and Subex. Both of them provide AI solutions and machine learning to corporates. And these stocks have been going big in the last 1 year. Kelton has gone almost 85% in the last 1 year. Mohit, is it time for investors to look into this space, and how long before we'll be seeing big multi-baggers coming from the AI space in stocks?
We lag a lot when compared to larger markets like US in terms of the AI. You were talking of an Indian startup which is now becoming a unicorn, Krutim, right? And at a $1 billion valuation, OpenAI is talking of $100 billion valuation for their next
Yes.
fundraise, right? So I think the difference is stark, and the difference in technology, the way use cases have been put into US, I think it's fairly different, from surgeries to agricultural to robotics to defense. I think it's percolating down to every single space, right? Having said which, India, I think, is making huge strides. I don't see too much heavyweight action happening on the big stocks or the giant stocks. So they're talking about it, but I haven't seen any kind of uptick in the price or in the commentary thereof from the bigger names like the TCS and the Infosys and the Wipros of the world, right? I still see a lot of potential in the smaller names, which is like the Persistent Technology, Happiest Minds, those kinds of name, perhaps Affle India, Bosch to some extent, who are extensively trying and getting into usage of AI, and in whatever little forms and industries which they are operating in, they are trying and putting up some use cases, then trying and implementing some solutions which are AI driven, right? And I think the world is going to change for good, and we will not even kind of understand in next 3 to 5 years. I think the entire technology space around us will go through a dramatic shift and change. My sense is investors could well be positioned. It's very difficult to identify which one will be the lead name out of these, right? So it is extremely difficult for me to today put out a finger and say ki out of these 10 names which operate in this zone or which are perhaps having an intent to become big in the zone, which one will be the winner. My sense is you will have to place smaller bets on few of these good names, and then try and wait and try and increase your positioning or size as you move forward and as you see stories unfolding. And that's the only way you can play out this theme in India as of now.
Yeah, Mohit, so we'll have to wait for Reliance, which is investing big into large language models, to come out with a separate script on that. But there's another space that has seen big increases or gains in the last few days. Bajaj Auto went up almost 20% in the last 1 month. Hero MotoCorp up almost 10%. The two-wheeler space I'm talking about, TVS, Eicher Motors, all are up. Is this the space that investors can look towards in the, at least in the medium term, the coming few years?
Look, to be honest, I think the story of Indian consumption is more a story of Indian premiumization of the entire consumption pattern in India. And that's also playing out in two-wheelers to some extent, where people are trying and upgrading the two-wheelers which they're having to maybe EV models or to maybe up-end models or higher-end models of whatever the companies have been offering, which is where I think the beneficiaries have been Eicher to some extent and Bajaj and Hero MotoCorp to a large extent because of their massive reach and distribution networks, right? Bajaj Auto, I think, also is a story of buyback. I think huge capital efficiency on the balance sheet will accrue by virtue of this buyback of almost 10,000 odd crore rupees, which they are planning. And the management commentary has always been very positive that as and when they have profits or reserves upwards of 20,000 odd crores, they will go for, in some form or manner, they will reward their shareholders, right? So, and they will optimize the capital allocation, which is to be very honest, an excellent way of managing the shareholder interest and also managing the stock, to be very honest. So I think yes, overall the two-wheeler space is looking extremely nicely poised in the coming time. Though I would caveat it by saying that bulk of the good news is already in the price for the entire auto industry put together. The tailwinds are strong, and the demand remains fairly robust. We'll have to see as to how the demand plays out through the course of this year, especially during the monsoon season and forward. But yes, the news though is priced in, but still I think a few of these stocks still look attractive from a market perspective.
All right, that those are the insights from Mohit Gang. Sir, thank you for joining us here on News 9. Always a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much, Suyash.